When I get done, I'm so amped out of my mind, I can't go to sleep. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And you know how YouTube is. It's like, hey dude, you like this? Well, you might want to check out this. It's amazing how you can discover something so mind-blowing, and then the next second, like, forget that awesomeness. And every single one of them has the same memories as me. Every one of them. I don't know, it seems quite ironic that we would all have the same memories. Everybody I know has been...
I'm just a normal guy whose real life has been turned into a science fiction superhero movie unlike anything I've ever seen. It's a true story. It involves frequencies, DNA, string theory, volunteers, the Hopi Indians, parallel universes, and even Pleiadians. And it has everything to do with the Mandela Effect. I have a theory to why some of us are experiencing the Mandela Effect and some aren't. After my story, my theory about why we are experiencing the same alternative memories will be self-evident. My story at first might not seem to be related to the Mandela Effect, but trust me, when this video is over, you will have a new insight, a new piece of the puzzle to help you figure out for yourself what is going on with these alternative memories.
You know, I just spent the last... out of high school, I decided to pursue being a professional golfer. You know, I loved golf. I was really good at it. You know, I wasn't no Tiger Woods, but, you know, I made a living at it for a while. When I was 25, it had ran its course, and it was time for me to move on, and so I decided to go to college. Yeah, I ended up spending 6 years in college. Not that I got a doctorate degree, but just because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. And you know, that's just, I ended up with a degree in philosophy and visual arts. So how do you think that worked out in the 3D world? So while I was in college, I had a speech class, like everybody has a speech class, and I remember there was this guy, and he started giving this speech on this wind talker. You know what I mean? It was like this little piece of wood attached to a string, and when you swung it, it would make this really cool sound. And so, you know, I really enjoyed the information. So after class, I went over and I started talking to him about, you know, these Hopi Indians that he was talking about. And I was so intrigued that I went to the library and got a couple books. And
the Hopis are considered to be one of the oldest living cultures in the world, since their history stretches back for thousands of years. They have a very complex belief system, but for the purpose of my story and keeping this video short, I just want to mention the Hopis believe they come from the Pleiades star system and have all chose to come here to experience these life cycles on Earth.
I don't know what happened to me, but this is crazy. Still crazy looking back on it. I'm reading these books, and like, I pack up my stuff, I jump in my 1979 Toyota Corolla, and I drive to the Hopi reservation by myself. I have no idea why I'm doing it. I just know that I got to do it. You know what I mean? It was almost like Richard Dreyfuss in, you know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind when he's building the, you know, the tower, the Devil's Tower. So I remember driving there, getting to the reservation, to the main mesa. I remember getting out of my car, just looking around, and I remember looking down, and all of a sudden I see this snake, this black and yellow snake. And I'm watching this snake, and I hate snakes, dude. I'm not a fan of snakes. I don't dig snakes. So I'm watching this snake, and all of a sudden I like pop out of it. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing at the Hopi reservation? I'm in college. I got like stuff to do, dude. You know, I got papers. And I like popped out of it, and I got in my car, and I drove back to California to continue school. So it was like a little three day, like, just, I don't know what happened. I still don't know what happened. I graduated college, moved to New York to make it as an artist. while I was in New York, started inventing some golf products. I kind of combined my love of golf for, my creative side, and developed my own business, and started selling my products. I was doing okay. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to work for anybody else. I could stay at home, which is also weird because I've actually never had a real job. And when the story's over, I just became consumed with the quantum field. You know what I mean? Like I think I'd watched What the Bleep in 2007, and something triggered in me, man. And it just, the idea that I was not this irrelevant piece of grain of sand, it made more sense what I saw there. And so I just did research, and I read just tons and tons of books. And so over the next 5 years, I had developed a really cool belief system. You know what I mean? I believed that we were made of energy. I was believing that we live in this field of consciousness. And our consciousness is actually holding, like my consciousness is holding my body together, designing my body. So that was working, and I was into it. You know what I mean? But I believed that we were made of energy, and I believed that we were all connected. And, so that was just a belief. So at any time, I get back on my conspiracy train, and oh my God, I would lose sight of the fact that I was creating my life. I remember one day, it was 2011, and I'm watching this video about Greg Braden. It's called The Divine Matrix. It's basically how to speak to the field. When I get done, I'm so amped out of my mind, I can't go to sleep. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and you know how YouTube is. It's like, hey dude, you like this? Well, you might want to check out this. So I see this this video called, God, what was it called? The Living Matrix. Matrix had Matrix in both titles. So The Living Matrix, the science of healing. I just hit it because YouTube said, hey, check this out. So I hit it, and in the first 6 minutes, there's this dude named Dr. And it's not that great of a movie. It's like, it's a good stepping stone. So I'm watching this dude, and he's like floating his hands over these people. You know what I mean? He's floating his hands. These people are like, they're having like these crazy miraculous healings. They're getting out of the wheelchairs, and you can go check out Eric Pearl and see, and that's real. Like, every interview you ever see with him, that is real. Everything he said. I know the dude. It's quite an amazing story. Anyway, so that's where we're headed. So I see this guy, and I'm like, this guy is interacting with the field. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like the Indian thing. You know what I mean? Like driving to the Hopi Indian reservation. What the hell was that? I know that I'm supposed to read this dude's book. So I get his book, and in the first couple pages it says, if you read this book, you will start to feel these frequencies in your hands. So I remember thinking, because I'm pretty skeptical, I remember thinking, God, that's a weird thing to say. It's almost like it's like a sales pitch to get you to buy the book. Dude, I've already bought the book, so I don't know, I get about halfway through, and I hold my hands up, and I start feeling these sensations. And they're real subtle, but I can feel them. And in the beginning, it feels like I got this little electrical cord that's connecting my palms. I continued to read the book, and these sensations in my hands got stronger and stronger. I worked at home. I've always worked at home. So I would just walk around the house playing with these frequencies all the time. And the more I played with them, the stronger they got. And finally, I was like, man, I gotta feel what it's like when somebody does this to me. So I researched around, and I found this lady giving this presentation, and they were giving these little mini sessions. So I was like, I gotta check this out. And I asked the lady, I was like, hey, what's the reconnection? I know what reconnected feeling is. At least I thought I knew what it was. But she says, your body has its own energy field. You can describe that as maybe the meridian lines of your body. Then she starts talking about, how the earth has its own energy field. You know what I mean? And it's represented by these ley lines that wrap around the world. And she said at one time, our energy fields used to be connected to the larger energy fields of the planet. But they become disconnected. And now our energy field stops at the edge of our body. And she says the reconnection will reattach your energy field to the energy field of the planet, therefore the universe. So I said, well, how are you going? What do you do? Like, how are you going to reattach? She said it with a straight face too, which I say with a straight face too because I know it's real now. But she said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to lay in a fifth dimensional set of accitonal lines that's going to extend your energy field out into the energy field of the planet and the universe, reconnecting you to the larger field. So, that sounds crazy, right? That sounds like totally crazy. But this is real. I know this is real. And the reason I know this is real is because I started having friends come over and I say, hey, dude, do me a favor. Can you just lay down and let me float my hands over top of you? And who would do that? But all my friends said, sure. So they'd lay down and I'd float my hands over them. And dude, they would start. It was out of a science fiction movie, dude, that I have never seen. Their eyes would start flickering and they start twitching, like levitating, and heads coming back. And this is real. I can't believe this is really happening. And so then when I was done, I would tap them and I'd be like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, so did you experience anything? And they would just oh my God. It was insane that what they would tell me. It was just, some would one of my buddies, the second I would start, he would just leave his body. And he would always go to a different place. And, I had other friends that, they were all different. I did give a couple sessions to people that didn't seem to feel anything. And at the time, I hadn't even went and got trained for this work. So at the time, my ego was like, maybe this doesn't work. What's going on? Which is crazy because, it's amazing how you can discover something so mind-blowing and then the next second, forget that awesomeness. I think a bird just about pooped on me. So I have to film out here. I would rather film inside, but my kids, they're so loud, dude. I can't. They're just nuts. They couldn't be quiet for more than 3 minutes. So she says, we will reattach your energy field with the energy field of the earth. And I'm like, so it sounds crazy, but I know this is real. So I go, okay, let's do this. So we set up a day, and it's 2 days, and I go over there, and the first day I lay down and I jokingly said, when this is over, I had no idea what was getting ready to happen. So I said, when this is over, are you going to, tell me what this is really about? So I lay down, and there's no touching. You know what I mean? You just lay there, and they just float your hands over. I lay down with my hands, face down, and the second she starts, my hands flip over. And I'm like, did my hands flip over, or is that my imagination? I couldn't decide. I couldn't figure out which way my hands were. And so I tried to move my hands, but I couldn't move my hands. I was locked in. My hands were locked in. And so I just kind of let that go and had these amazing sensations and all these, crazy currents and pulsations and visuals and smells and colors. And so she taps me and she says, we're done. And I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. And so I sit up and I put my hands on my eyes like that, dude. And my life flashed before my eyes. Every moment flashed before my eyes. And I realized that, like, wow, everything was perfect. Like, all the trouble, all the bad shit I had done, and all the negative stuff, like, everything was perfect. Like, my life was unfolding perfectly. And I realized that I was perfect. It's like I was perfect. And then that quickly, like, went to, like, wait a second. Everything is perfect. Like, every single person at this moment, it was perfect. And a feeling of love and joy and connectedness came over me. And for the next 2 weeks, I was a blithering idiot. I mean, I could not stop crying. I saw so much beauty everywhere. I mean, if I was sitting right here, dude, I would be crying because this palm tree, I would just, it was nuts. I'm actually glad that it disappeared, because you can't function in this world, like, with the veil gone, dude. Like, be thankful for the veil, because, well, I'm very thankful that the veil disappeared for that moment. But what happened was, is there's a residual that was left with me, and then this increased to the point where no matter what I do, at all times, my hands are like magnets. And hey, don't be drinking that. My hands feel like magnets to the air. And whatever I do with my right hand, I can feel with my left hand. So if I actually did that, it's... So anyway, so now we get into the Pleiadians. This is when my life, if it already hadn't turned into like this magical, life would just become magical. But now it's getting ready to go through the rabbit hole, dude, so deep and so fast that I popped out the other side and I am never coming back. So between the first session and the second session, I go home and I'm so excited I can't even stand it. And so I go on YouTube. I don't even know why I went to this video, but I just punched the button. It was called Bringers of the Dawn. And like quickly, it starts talking about like these Pleiadians. Well, what we did is we'd all chose to come here and to create these experiences on Earth. And then it talks about how there's this disconnection that takes place with our DNA. So I'm watching this, and it starts talking about these volunteers. And I'm just, because this Pleiadian thing seems to just keep coming back into my life. You know what I mean? Like, it just keeps coming back. So she starts talking about these volunteers, and I'm listening to it, and I'm just enthralled, because it's making sense with all my conspiracy thing, all the conspiracy stuff I was into. It's fitting right in, you know what I mean? Then she gets a little bit in, and she says, you are not going to believe, this is in 1989, I think, 88 to 92, something like that. And she goes, you are not going to believe what starts coming through your hands. You are going to be able to heal people with what comes through your hands. And I'm going, what, dude? Wow, that's, Like, I mean, I don't even know what to say, and I'm so, needless to say, I was kind of digging it. When we get done, the lady says, here's some channel information. It's not available right now, but you might be interested in this. So after my reconnection, after my second day, it was just a cool experience. It was nothing like the first day. Just nice. Felt totally relaxed, peaceful. Felt love. I just felt really good. It was a beautiful experience, but it was nothing like the first day. That was like boom. So I'm driving home. I got these CDs, and I stick the CD into the car, and it's Eric Pearl, and he's talking about this channel information. And the first thing he says, when I wrote the book, I really didn't want to talk about two things. He says, because I thought it would, maybe turn people off. He goes, I didn't want to talk about the channeled information and this connection with the Pleiades. And dude, I hear that, and I'm just like, I'm going like, this is becoming way, way too coincidental for me. Like this Pleiadian thing, I decided I have to get trained for this, because I started like having these sessions, and these people started like having these healings, you know what I mean? Like friends of mine with their parents, and and here I am giving these sessions, and I'm in my bedroom in, Colorado. These people are around the world, and they're laying in their bedroom around the world, and I'm giving them a session while I'm in Colorado, and they're having healings. So how is this possible? How can I have this coming through my hand? How can my hands all of a sudden feel like magnets? Dude, I was a golf pro. I just did whatever it took not to have a real job. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, my hands vibrate like magnets, and I got these sensations. Now I can... If that doesn't blow your mind, dude, I don't really know what would. Let's talk about Eric Pearl for a second, because so this guy was a chiropractor. You know what I mean? He was a very successful chiropractor. He'd been a chiropractor for 12 years in LA. So while he's a chiropractor and these healings start, his patients don't know that he's a healer. They think he's a chiropractor. So what happens is when he would adjust them, he would just say, hey man, why don't you just close your eyes and just relax for a couple minutes and let that adjustment settle in. So when they would close their eyes, he would start floating his hands over them. You know what I mean? And they'd start twitching. And but anyway, there was a period there where it was like a 3-month period where 50 of his patients, 50 dude, 50 people that have never done this, 50 people from off the street, they came in, he adjusted them, put his hands over top of them, their eyes rolled back, and they all started channeling the same 6 phrases, okay? All of them. Dude, what, are you kidding me? Like, how's that possible? Something in the universe decided that this information was so important that it turned 50 of his patients into radio transmitters to get across this information. These 6 phrases were, you must continue to do what you're doing. What you're doing is bringing light and information onto that planet. I had no idea what that was when I first learned about this, but now I got a pretty good idea. What you're doing is reconnecting strands. What you're doing is reconnecting strings. Dude, that's the Mandela Effect thing. And I know people are going to say this dude's a nutbag. Dude, that's so... If you ask a genetic scientist what percentage of our DNA is junk, they tell you like 97%. Dude, are you telling me that we're functioning on 3% of our DNA? I mean, I can't, and we just go, yeah, that sounds right, you're right. Yeah, we're only using 10% of our brain. Yeah, that's probably right. I mean, dude, that's the level of ignorance that we've been placed in. So anyway, let's go back to the point. So what you're doing is reconnecting strings. You must know that you're a master. And we came because of your reputation. So I've done another video on I've only done like 3 videos, and I actually didn't start doing videos until this Mandela Effect, because I don't like to look at myself on camera and I can't stand my voice. But this Mandela Effect and what I've been experiencing, in my world, it's connected. It goes back to that calling that I know I'm supposed to go get trained for this work. You know what I mean? I need to do this work. Hold this frequency. You know what I mean? While I'm waiting to go out and get trained for this, I start discovering this other information. And dude, it's all talking about this shift and these volunteers that are coming down here to hold this light. Light, dude, light. Like the dude say, what you're bringing through is light and information. And they're supposed to hold this light. And like Dolores Cannon, her 3 waves of volunteers. That's ridiculous. I mean, that lady described, she goes, there's going to be some people, and their only job is to come down here and hold this frequency, this light. And they will probably stay away from people. They'll probably work at home, and they'll just go about their business. And I'm just thinking, like, oh my God, dude, this is me. Like, oh my God, I'm not saying I'm a Pleiadian, but they would talk about these merging of timelines, this awakening, the veil is being lifted. And so I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. So I ended up going and getting trained for this work. But what happened when I got there was ridiculous. About 30% of the people there, nurses or doctors. 33% is probably, energy workers, Reiki, ginseng, whatever your flavor of energy work is. But there's like 33% of the people that come there, and they have no idea why they're there. They're just like teachers and plumbers and carpenters and advertising. And they're there. These people it goes back to that drawn there. These people are literally drawn to the reconnective healing. I was, you know what I mean? And it allowed me to step into knowing that we're made of energy. I know we're made of energy. I know we're connected, because what happens is impossible if we're not. And when you step into a knowing and you step into this, this awakening to how magnificent we truly are, I don't know, man. It's just amazing. I don't even know. But I want to talk about the strings, because the information is, what you're doing is reconnecting strings. Strings, dude. String theory, parallel universes, merging of timelines. So where am I going with this? This frequency is everywhere. It's coursing through you right now. You might not feel it right now, but a lot of you do. And when you attune to this frequency, your DNA starts changing, turned on, waking up, I don't know what. But something happens. And you start remembering. You start remembering who you are and why you're here. And everything starts making more sense. And things don't affect you the same way. It's almost like you have this objective view of what's going on down here. And of course life's going to jump up and slap you around and, pop you out of what you know. But not really for long. Seconds or minutes. You know what I mean? And then you remember, oh yeah, wait. I remember what's going on. Really, I see a connection between, what I've been reading, researching from all these various teachers, and they're all saying the same thing, and then here it is, and it's happening. So, I kind of have an idea that if everybody that's exposed to these frequencies has these same memories, then maybe all the people that are experiencing these alternative memories, maybe they will also feel this frequency. So let's play, okay? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to hold your hands firm. Okay, say you have like a 3-year-old kid running at you and you need to pick him up, okay? Pick him or her up, okay? You want to be, you don't want to drop him, you know what I mean? But you don't want to crush him. So open your hands, kind of like this. And I want you to feel like you have a little hook right here on the inside of your palm and right here. And connected to those 2 hooks is a string of energy. And I want you to really slowly, it's very subtle at first, but I want you to really slowly move one hand. I want you to see if you start feeling any sensations. If I was there with you right now, I would be looking at your fingers, and I would be looking for your fingers to slightly start twitching, because that lets me know your body recognizes this frequency. Just play with it for a second. You don't have to believe in it. You can't. If you're against it, then I can't force anything on anybody. Just see. If you feel anything in your hands. I don't know. Maybe it's tingling. Maybe it's cold. Maybe it's hot. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe you smell French toast. I don't know. But just see if you're aware of any sensations in your hand. And if you are, maybe you should shoot me an email and I'll send you some information, and you might want to journey down the rabbit hole a little bit farther, because I can tell you what, the rabbit hole can be scary until you pop out the other side. And then once you pop out the other side, dude, the fear goes. It's gone.
So what's my theory? I believe we are constantly shifting through parallel universes. It's how we move through time and space and experience this experience of Earth. We never notice this shifting because it happens so naturally. Plus the fact that we've been functioning on only 3% of our DNA. But as our DNA awakens, our consciousness expands, and we become conscious of how this experience on life actually works. The Mandela Effect is a byproduct of our awakening. We are now able to be conscious of 2 different realities at the same time. Soon, we will understand how to maneuver between this sea of unlimited opportunities to the reality that best matches our frequency. So, in my opinion, if you're experiencing these alternative memories, this is a time to celebrate. We've been waiting a long time for this moment.
All around the world, they've all known about this awakening, this age of enlightenment, the golden age. And so maybe they're doing the CERN thing and doing all the crazy ass rituals to put fear in us. Because if you have fear, this isn't going to work. If you live in fear, you're creating fear. We're all creating this. I'm creating my own, you're creating your own, but we're all creating this together. And if we're always focused on this negative this awakening is going to be mistaken as fear. I don't know where that'll lead. I don't know. I mean, dude, this is real. This is what's happening. You know what I mean? Like, this is... I don't know. There's something going on here that's more than CERN. CERN's real. This is real too. And there's millions of us that are Wi-Fi units for this frequency. I know this is a spiritual awakening. So, you know, if it's CERN or if it's D-Wave, then hey, toast to you, my friend, for breaking the bonds of this way we perceive reality. So, hey man, if this sounds too crazy, it sounded crazy to me too. But anyway, okay man, peace.